Hello there, and welcome to the tour of the Ox Felling and Excavation Armoured Engineering Vehicle, the first vehicle in my new Military Utility Logistics and Transport Vehicles series. My name is Wimperman, and I am the Chief Designer, Chief Builder, Chief Architect, and Chief Dumbass behind the new Ox Felling and Extraction AEV vehicle. And also very surprised that I've managed to get through all of that without getting tongue twisted. So, come out of that view. And this is a new vehicle, you'll be happy to hear, which means there is no original to show you. So, let's show you around this mining and tree wood gathering vehicle, starting with its role and its task equipment. Okay, that was a bit stupid because I've just told you what its role is now, haven't I? It's ore and wood collecting vehicle, and in order to facilitate that task, it has a harvester. Let's turn my HUD back on. It has a harvester module on the front there for collecting the woods, and it has 8 mining laser drills for collecting the ore. I wanted it to be reminiscent of a blade, or some of you might call it a bucket, on the front of a bulldozer. And it did look quite good until it needed holes put in it for all the thrusters and the drill modules, but never mind. Right, so the next segment is its propulsion, handling, and lift capacity. Okay, starting with its propulsion then. For forward acceleration, it has 8 large Tier 2 thrusters, 4 on each side. For braking and reverse, it has the same 8 large Tier 2 thrusters that I've tried my best to squeeze in between the laser modules, the drill modules. As you can see, I wasn't happy with just 6, so I've stuck 7 and 8 down there. It'll do. Yeah, it'll do. So, wrong side. Lateral thrust. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter what the side is for the thrusters because it's the same. It's just, I like to show you the side with the sun on it so it's all lit up nice and stuff. Right, 4 large Tier 2 thrusters. And this is the first hover vehicle of mine that actually has vertical thrusters. So underneath, lifting it up, it has 8 medium Tier 1 thrusters. There's 4 at the front and 4 at the back, 2 on each side. Well, 4 on each side. And it has some on the top as well, pushing down. It has 3 at the front and 3 at the back, and those are medium Tier 1s as well. Now, I will show you what that does with the stats. So they're on the mining mode, and what that does is it allows you to pitch up and down easier in order to dig straight into the ground. I was really struggling with the... Oh, do I have it? Is it worth getting out? So I was playing with a design. Yeah, this is very nearly what the Ox looked like, and it's so much bigger. Give me a second. Okay, there it is. I found this picture on the interwebs a few years ago, and I liked the way it looked, and I was trying to adapt that into this vehicle. And you can sort of see-ish. So one of the things I didn't like about this is its size. It's massive. And I gave up on it and started on that one to try and get a smaller thing. So the idea of this big pod is this is a detachable cargo pod. It turned out to be massive in the end. 30,000. So my mistake, and I didn't realize it until I was nearly done with that one, so I might reuse this design at some point, but my mistake was trying to follow the picture too closely rather than just using it as inspiration. I mean, I did I did that in some places, like here isn't the same shapes as here. You can sort of see it sort of is, and then the bits where the thrusters are on the side also isn't. But I tried to keep the pod on the back the same sort of design, and that's where I went wrong, in my opinion. I was too concerned with keeping these structure shapes, and that made the pod, and then therefore the whole vehicle, much bigger than really it ought to have been. So I made a mistake with that. But there you go, that's what that nearly looked like. Now, as I was practicing or trying to see how good that one I just deleted was, I went and dug it into the ground somewhere on this planet somewhere. I could find it's around here, I think. I recognise that little pointy out bit of mountain. And, of course, it wouldn't pitch down because it's so big. And I ended up just skimming along the ground, just creating little indents into the ground. And that's what made me realise that I needed thrusters that pointed up and down to help with pitch. And like I said, I'll show you what that does in a bit. Right, so there you go. That's all the propulsion. As for its lift, it has 6 large hover engines on by default. Now, I may have gone a bit overboard on this, to be honest. But still. So, 6 on by default. Then there's 6 more set to max lift. And I believe it's these 6 here. No, it's these 6 here. There you go. And then the other 6 are set to the mining mode. So the mining mode will turn off these 6 default ones and turn on the 6 mining ones, which is the 4 at the back and the 2 at the front. And I've done that to help pitch it forward more, which, I mean, I could have not done it really because of the thrusters, the vertical thrusters, but there you go. So let's do the lift stats, and here's why. Oh, actually, sorry, I'll explain why these turn off and the inner ones turn on when you turn on mining mode. Just in case anybody doesn't know, it's better to have hover engines down the center line of your vehicle as you're mining, because if you imagine this drill here and this one here will be digging an area that's roughly like this in the ground, and this one will be doing this, and you might end up with a little peak of dirt in the middle. Now, if you have hover engines on the extremities of the vehicle while you're on that kind of terrain, the vehicle will start rocking from side to side. Hang on, can I do it? Can I really not roll in a jetpack? Wow, okay. Never mind, I can't show you, but it starts to roll and pitch. It's like it's on high seas, and it's very annoying. So you can limit that. It doesn't get rid of it completely, but you can limit that. So what happens is these hover engines try to get the vehicle onto flat ground, which pushes these up the side of the cave you've dug, and then these will then try to do the same to those, and wobble. So that's why we have the ones down the center line. Now the max lift ones are down the center line as well, because if you need to use max lift as you're mining, I didn't want the max lift hover engines to actually make that worse, the rocking from side to side, so they're in the middle as well. Now, the lift stats, and here's why I may have gone a bit overboard-ish. So, with the 6 default hover engines on, whether you're in normal mode or mining mode, whether you're in mining mode or not, I should say, those 6 large hover engines are enough to lift this vehicle, which weighs 68.5 tons, in over 7G. But never mind. So with max lift off, it will lift 122 tons in 4G, which is nearly double what the vehicle weighs, like dry weight. but I wanted to make sure it would definitely operate in any G. So with max lift on, yes, with max lift on, it will lift 244.7 tons in 4G. Have I changed the... Yes, I have. The holo display inside. Don't look in there yet. Naughty. We haven't got to the interior layout yet. So, that's all of that bit out of the way. Now, I haven't given it any hover boosters because I don't feel it would really need to jump. And I suppose I could have put some along here, but it might have compromised the interior pressurization. So I didn't in the end. Although I think, actually, the hover boosters, I'm pretty sure, have been changed so that you can put them on the same level as the docking pads. Now, when I played the game previously, pre-launch, they didn't. They were the same size as full blocks. So even these lights, actually, you put a light on the bottom there, and the game considers that to be a full block in size. And so the docking pads can't connect to stuff. And it used to be that the hover boosters were the same, but I'm pretty sure that's changed now. So if you want to add some more, you can, of course, I'm pretty sure, just chuck them on. Yeah. Right, so for its mobility, and I will show you the mining mode stats in a bit. So, as for its maneuverability, with its default propulsion, etc. turned on, it'll accelerate forwards at 40 meters per second square. The same again, obviously, reverse, because same thrusters. Sideways, it'll do 20 meters per second square acceleration. As for agility, its yaw is 36 degrees per second, pitch is 10, and roll is 15. Now, I will cover mining mode a bit more later on, but let's turn it on just to show you how loud. So the mining mode will automatically turn the default hover engines off, as I said. Now, if you accidentally turn mining mode on with propulsion off, when you turn mining mode off, it'll turn hover engines on, but then when you turn the propulsion, etc. on, it'll turn them off. So you have to kind of play around with the switches if you do that accidentally. I've done it. It's easy. It's nothing to worry about, but it can happen. Oh, no, I still need that window. Stats-wise, the agility now, 28 degrees per second pitch, and that's the important one. Roll isn't so important when you're mining, I don't think, but it's 31. 31 roll and 28 pitch as opposed to 15 and 10. So that, like I said, will help you point down into the ground. Yeah, and in fact, I will show you now because I'm going to go do loud, the test drive I normally do. So this is how it handles even with pilot mode off. And considering she's a bit big and heavy, it's not too bad. I'm going to turn my thing on. Flattish here, that's where I'm heading. Now, right. So, mining mode is off. I'm going to pitch forward. So that noise is me dragging the mouse. And it pitches forward, but it doesn't like it. It's a bit stubborn. But when we turn mining mode on, loud, look how much easier that is. Now you can dig straight into the ground as much as you like. Okay. I mean, the thrusters in front of your screen are a bit annoying, but never mind. Right then, so that's the end of that segment. So the next segment then is its power, fuel, and air. Now I will show you where these things are when we get to the interior layout, but I will just for now tell you about them. So its power, it has 10 large generators. I did some maths, and it does sort of need them. If you, well, I'll cover that in a bit, but it does sort of need them all. Now it has 8 on by default, and then another 2 that are also set to the mining mode. So when you turn mining mode on, it'll turn on generators 9 and 10 to help power the thingies. Oh, just in case anyone has been watching all of my tour, or at least most of them, there was a tank. It was the Jackal main battle hover tank. I put a shield switch on the custom signals, and I couldn't remember why. And it's not until I was just about to start recording this, and I was making sure I knew where all the generators were, and making sure how many of them turn on and off with the mining mode, that I remembered why I did the shield switch in that tank. And it was because I wanted to put some of the generators on the same switch, so that it wasn't always on. Never mind. It's a tangent, but there you go. Right, so 10 generators, 8 on by default, 2 more on mining mode. Fuel, it has 11 large and 4 small fuel tanks. So I wanted you to be able to stay out for a while, mining. It has a pentaxid tank, which of course is a clue to something else. As for its air, it has only 2 O2 tanks. But I think for this vehicle that's fine, because you're only going to be in it. It only has 1 vent and no O2 stations. So those 2 O2 tanks only need to fill up the vehicle. They don't need to, support your EVA walking around. It's not really the kind of vehicle where you want to be getting out of the vehicle and doing stuff. It's a sort of vehicle, it's parked at your base or on your ship, you get in it, you go mine, you bring it back, and then you get out. So I didn't think it needed them. Now, as I normally do, here is the blue shapes to prove it's airtight in here. Obviously the block shapeage kind of makes it a bit odd in here, but I think it's fine. Yeah. So, right, that's the end of that segment then. So the next segment is its weapons, defenses, and construction. So, weapons. It has 8 Gatling turrets, so that's more than is allowed in the game, so it is non-compliant with its device limits. In fact, you probably guessed that with the 8 drill lasers as well, because that's the limit for those is 6, so you need to turn device limits off for this vehicle. So it has 8 of them, and they are all set to anti-personnel, so they'll target ground troops and predators. As a result of that, they'll also target drones, which I'm kind of happy about, because really that's what you want to be protected from. Defenses, it has a shield, hence the pentaxid tank. Right, defenses, so it is armoured because it is a military vehicle. Now, it's not a tank, so it's not all combat steel. Now, the front blade bucket shape is all combat steel, even these shapes in front of the thrusters. This is all combat steel. Then there's a whole bunch of combat steel over the top, over the roof. There's a little bit on the back to protect the components, but it's not all combat steel, as you can see. And then there's a small amount on the side, and you can probably hear what's behind that to explain why. I wonder what that is. The rest of the vehicle is, or most of it's hardened steel. That's combat steel there. Underneath is hardened steel. There's a small amount of steel on the inside, but I don't think there's any on the outside, and if there is not much at all. That, I think, is steel, because they're just extra decorative bits on top of these blocks. So there you go, that's its construction, give or take. Oh, I always forget as well, the windows are the armoured windows, they're not the normal ones. Right, so that's the end of that segment then. So the next segment is its resource gathering, production, and its storage. Now, a lot of this we've already covered. Resource gathering, harvest module for chopping down trees, and 8 drill modules of the laser flavor. Now, as I've said before, but just in case you're skipping through the video, that is 2 more than you're actually allowed with the device limits. So you need to use this vehicle with device limits turned off. Production, it has a constructor. We can see through the window just there. And then storage, it has 2 3000 SU ore and wood containers. It has 1 875 SU ammo container. I was going to show you where that is, but do that in the interior bit. And it has a 375 SU cargo container, which is underneath the constructor. Obviously, that's not very big, but that's in case you need, drill charges or something like that, or maybe to produce some more ammo for the Gatling turrets. It doesn't need to be particularly big, or the odd bandage, maybe. And finally, it has a mini fridge, and that's the end of its storage. Right, so moving on to the next segment then is its interior layout and any remaining devices. Right, since we're on the outside, we'll start out here for remaining devices. Detector is there. On the back, we have access to the pentaxid tank up there and the ammo container there, which, as I said, is 875. Then we'll enter into the vehicle, and as you can see, the doors, the ramps, and that light are automated on that sensor. Some vehicles I don't do automatic doors, but on some vehicles I do. It depends on what kind of combat situation you might be in. But this one, I don't feel like you would be, really. It's just heavily defended against drones and troops, but it can't really attack a POI, I wouldn't have thought. So, as we go in, on the right-hand side, we'll see one of the 2 ore and wood containers, 3000 SU. You'll see the other one over there, the other side of the seat. You'll also see most of the fuel is here. The 2 O2 tanks and the ventilator are in the back wall above the constructor and the 375 cargo container. You'll also notice the motion sensor that controls the interior lights in here. Mini fridge is at the front. The core is directly in front of the seat, and the Wi-Fi is the mirror image spot of the mini fridge. Now I'm going to go back into God mode and go inside this back bit. Now it's quite hectic in here. We have more fuel. We have the shield generator, the pentaxid tank, which is above it, which is accessible through the back, and all of the generators are in this bit as well. There's 5 on each side. The 2 that are turned off unless you're in mining mode are in the bottom, there and there. So that's everything in the back. Now, if you are a bit worried about O2, whether that's going to last, I mean, obviously you can, of course, take out one of these fuel tanks and put in a couple more if you like. Right then, and finally, is that finally? Yes. We have the LCD displays that show you while you're driving what the various toggleable shortcuts are, which I'm going to use to segue into the next segment, which is its shortcuts and signals. So, as you can see, the first device group toggle is the propulsion, etc. And that will turn on and off what I was saying earlier was the default hover engines and all except the vertical thrusters. That will leave those off as well. Oh, let's show you actually. So, if you accidentally turn the mining mode on, and then you realise you don't have propulsion on, you do that, it'll turn the mining modes ones off, I believe. Yeah. And then if you then accidentally turn that off... Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was going to leave the other ones on, but no, it doesn't. Anyway, right, so that'll do that. Max lift will turn on, like I was saying earlier. In fact, I can show you exactly which ones it are. There you go. Then we have headlights and tail lights. So obviously the headlights will turn the headlights on. Now, it has 2 spotlights at the top and 4 little lights that are set to spotlight mode. Now, like many of the tanks, the exterior ones... Why can I not see that? Because it's white. The exterior ones... Why has that done that? It's because it was... Did I have... I must have had symmetry mode on. Okay. Right, so since I now need to resave this anyway, I'm going to make some changes on camera. We'll come back to these in a bit. Oh, so tail lights, actually I will cover those and then I'll do my changes afterwards. So, tail lights, of course I have my patented red flares on the back. If you don't like them, you can of course turn them off. And if you hate them, you can multi-tool them off. And finally is the ventilator switch. Now, in case you haven't seen any of my tours before, I will cover this real quick. If we have a look at the power left and we turn oxygen off, you'll see that power left doesn't change, because although the ventilator is no longer blowing O2 into the interior, the ventilator block itself is still powered. So I've given you this switch to turn it off, which will save you a bit of power. E and E. Right then, so signals. The first one, as usual, is power save. Now, in this vehicle, the power save will do the motion sensors that controls the lights, doors, and the ramps. So when power save is on, you need to operate these manually. It'll also do these LCDs. It'll do the Wi-Fi. I believe that's everything. The mini fridge is not on power save because I didn't want you to accidentally ruin your sandwiches by turning power save on when you had food in there. I think it's best to do that manually because you always know what it is that you need to control, whereas a switch doesn't. Is the idea. Mining mode, you've seen me operate that a couple of times. I will turn that back on. Really loud. So, as I've said, just in case you're skipping through the video, I will go over it again. So the mining mode will turn off the default engines and turn on these 6 along the center line, just to help you stabilize over the points and peaks that's left as you mine. It'll turn on the drill modules, obviously. The harvester module can't be turned on and off, which is a shame, but there you go. And you'll also notice some flashy lights. Oh, thrusters. It turns, just in case, again, you skip through the video, there are some vertical thrusters to help with pitch, but it turns on some hazard beacons as well. And you'll see they flash in a chasing pattern. Now, the idea is that is when you're in the vehicle, rather than it looks like 3 lights are chasing each other on each side, it looks like one flashing light that flashes 3 times on each side. That's the idea of that. Yeah. The next switch, as you can see, is the Gatling turrets. That turns on all of the turrets, obviously. Now again, just in case you haven't seen other videos of mine, I will explain quickly. I refer to these as Gatling turrets and not minigun turrets because, as far as I understand it, minigun is a brand of rotary barrel weapon manufactured by General Electrics, whereas Gatling is a umbrella term for any rotary barrel weapon named after the guy who invented them, Mr. Gatling, whatever his first name was, Bob, I don't know. Right, the next signal down is production. That'll turn on and off the constructor. And finally, we have closed shutters. So if you've come to the back bit and you've accidentally left them open, I didn't want you to have to get out of your seat to go and close them again once you've noticed they've been left open. So if you flick that switch, it'll close them, and it'll only close them, it won't open them again. Right, now I'm going to make a couple of quick changes. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plop some hover boosters on this. I really should test it, shouldn't I? Okay, I got myself a platform. There we go. Will it land on that with those hover boosters where they are? It sounds like it will. I mean, it's parked a bit weird, but okay. Does it work? Yes, it does. Okay, there we go. I've plopped on 5 hover boosters. And now I want to find a couple of these small fuel tanks. Ah, there you go. Perfect. There's some behind here. Take out that one and that one. Right, there we go then. That's all fixed. Since I need to re-upload anyway and I wasn't happy about its oxygen storage, you now have more. So the bit where I talked about its power, fuel and air, just pretend that I actually said 11 large and 3 small fuel tanks, and I said 4 O2 tanks instead of only 2. So there you go. That's it. Yeah, done, fixed. I need to take some new screenshots now, but never mind. Okay, so that's the end of these shortcuts and signals. That moves us on to the last segment, which is its CPU and upgrading. So, just in case, again, you've been skipping around in the video, I'm going to show you real quick where the core is. It's there. Oh, I didn't show you where the extensions were, but now I will. So, even if you weren't skipping through, I can show you where they are now, except I can't remember myself. Oh, there you go, there. They're the either side of the pentaxid tank. I thought they were up here. I just couldn't spot them. So, yes, the CPU extenders are there, so do be careful if you're getting shot at the ass, because these thrusters might go pop and take them with them. Right, CPU, well, it's changed a little bit now. So it's tier 4, obviously. It's 44,600 and a bit out of the 100,000 you are allowed. Upgrading, there is no built-in upgrade path. That doesn't mean you can't personalize it. I'm not sure what you would do, but you can. I mean, I suggested the O2 tanks earlier on, but I've done that for you now. But never mind. Yeah, so no built-in upgrade path. Now, before I let you go, I'm going to show you the additional primary colours that the vehicle comes with. Now, it comes in that desert sand colour, but it also includes this military green colour, this Arctic white colour, which you might be able to tell is ever so slightly blue, and it also comes with this dark grey, which I think looks quite nice. So there you go. Let's put that back. Right then, there is one last thing to do before I let you go, and that is... Right, so there we go. Thank you very much for taking an interest in the Ox Felling and Extraction Armoured Engineering Vehicle, Loud Bike. I hope you get some use out of it, and hopefully I will see you in another video for a different build. So thank you again, and goodbye.